Hello? Okay. Don Gears with Mallinckrodt Pharmaceuticals. For Rachel and Harish specifically, are you using any of the diagnostic data out of your devices to automatically trigger work orders for your maintenance folks instead of just doing, we're going to do it every month, every other month, things of this sort?
Can I answer for Rachel? Okay. Right now, all the solutions which are going to be in the shade play are being implemented in one of the areas. But right now what they do is on their SCADA system, they have knowledge of what is going wrong, and they send those alerts to the pumpers, as she called, to do the maintenance in the field. So that's how, at least you can say, that is how it is action-oriented at this time.
Great question.
I would add to that. Lansing Diseases has undergone the business transformation since last 4 years, and we have tuned our business processes to take care of this type of workflow. What we had we had started with the machine condition monitoring. From there, the diagnostics are being routed through the OMPRO. OMPRO is one of the operating system supplied by Honeywell. It is there, and those are talking to the SAP, where my work order management systems are existing. So those are underway. Some of them are already we have done, and some of them are on the way. Yeah.
Anybody else have any follow-up commentary? Well, no. All right. Any other? Right over here. Yep, right. Thanks, Bree.
Thank you very much. Yeah, good morning. My name is Dennis Zetterberg with Chevron. This is a question for Herman Story. Herman, great work on ISA 108, and definitely we want to be involved, and we are involved with it. But the key question I have for you, and that is the justification of what we're doing here, right? It's been very easy to justify to upper management to put in intelligent devices on equipment such as big compressors and turbines and these things that are really high dollar items, because we don't want those to obviously something go bad with them, and it's very expensive. But in the area of automation, which is what this focuses on, is there anything you're going to be doing in terms of looking at the value added by doing all this and looking at your intelligent devices on the health and status of the automation system itself, the sensors, valves, particularly the valves? I think that's a big area. And now working on work processes have been a challenge, because if you don't have the work process in the business unit or in the field, okay, they're not going to do it. We've got tons of AMSs out there that we've purchased over the years, and yet some of them are turned off and no one's using them. So could you address some of that? I mean, we love this stuff, but if I can't get management to really agree to use it, pay for it, and show them the value, man, it's going to be all for naught in some cases.
Well, I'd say, first you have to have faith, go try it, and then you have to have metrics. So if you're not collecting maintenance history and analyzing it to know is it working or not, it's going to be very difficult to maintain the faith from management. They want to see numbers. And I can tell you, there's several committees around now working on how to collect maintenance history. It's not that easy. Most of our maintenance history in my former life was kind of useless. Just the way it was collected. There was a job ticket. Half of the job tickets were no problem found, and the other half of the job tickets, the response was fixed it, roughly. No more data than that. Things like repair and replace or things like that. So you have to have good maintenance history, good data to go back to management Specifically, one of the things we tried to collect, and we did collect it some, was what we call saves. So this was an incipient failure that was about to cost a lot of money. A lot of times it was a valve. And we caught it in deterioration phase. We fixed it online. We prevented the plant shutdown. We prevented an environmental incident flaring. We prevented whatever. And we hit $10 million worth of incidents fairly quickly in a couple of units at one refinery. Just ad hoc collecting some data on saves. Guy was doing it in a spreadsheet. He wasn't doing it on a formal basis. Formalizing that into our history collection system and doing the analysis in metrics turned into kind of a big IT job. And you had to justify that to the IT gods. I could go on, but
one last thing I'll mention in that, and then we can move on, but Sandy Vassar in his presentation talked about 13 various things that we want to do to change things in how we've done things in the past. And not just not perfecting what we've done, but rather just completely looking at it in a different way. And one of the things he talked about is now automating a lot of these processes. So if we had a way to look at all those flows and so forth that you've got on your diagrams there, Herman, and if we had a way to automate that so that now we go to the maintenance guy and say, okay, here it is. Okay, and this is going to give you what you need. You're not going to have 4 other technicians to go out there and do all this, but this is doing it for you. That would be considered to me a real major paradigm shift in terms of how we do things, because that's been our problem. Is because every time they say, well, that's going to take more people, and that's organizational capability, hiring more people has been a challenge in our industry. So, just a thought. If you have anything to address on that issue, I'd love to hear about it, and we can continue dialoguing.
We, in our work, identified gaps in some of the tools for helping us track things. And some of it was solvable with some work with IT. Some of it would really help to have the vendors do some work for us. Hopefully, with all of this standard work, the vendors will understand our problem better, what we're trying to do better, and can help us out with some new tools that will make this work process better. I think what happens is it's very hard to build a good tool in the absence of any knowledge of the work process. And if the work process is undefined, they guess, they try, they build stuff, and it helps. But then you need to go the next step.
I have a comment.
Sure.
I look at it a little bit differently from the standpoint of a supplier of devices. And I think we do a lot with safety systems, and I think Sandy Vassar mentioned something that was really key, that really resonated with me, which is the simplicity of some of this stuff that we're doing. And I think that right now, I worked in the asset management space, and we need a lot of differences in the culture shift that you have to change in order to get all of this to work, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to have an asset management package and yet you don't trust the asset management package. You continue to do the routine maintenance trips out there just to see, oh, okay, yeah, that asset management package was right. So I think that, and what the philosophy we feel is that we make it simple, which is like you might just have red, green, and yellow. You don't have to give all of these analytics. But then once you have that, you can take it in the lab and kind of do the root cause analysis. Right now, you might get too much information, and that's the philosophy we basically follow.
Any follow-up commentary? Okay, great. Question right here.
Good morning. My name is Rick Fraughton. I'm a product manager at United Electric Controls. I have a question for Harish. It sounds like you are trending away from mechanical switching devices at your plant. I'm just curious to know how long of a time frame do you anticipate before you are completely away from those and more toward intelligent devices?
Yeah, this is a process itself to move forward, and Mr. Parry, who is from the country manager in India, he has already visited our Center of Excellence, who normally takes care of this type of decisions, and we had been undergone this complete presentation evaluation process is under there to go in a big way, but at a particular location where I have done this modification with the proper MOC that has been done. But in a big way, if we want to go, then our Center of Excellence is involved in that and will be doing that. Yeah.
Okay. If anybody doesn't have any near-term questions, I've got one for Sudhir. Sudhir, I know that people have been talking about fracking now and making what's going on in North America. It's been going on for decades, and in some cases you could say for perhaps over 100 years. And I just wanted to know what your perspective is. What are people doing today differently than they've been doing for decades?
Yeah, when I started getting involved in this, I said, the wellheads were very well known in the Middle East. The only difference between the fracking and those wells are they produce in 1,000 barrels per day, and this produces 100, 500, 600 barrels per day. But technology is the same. There's same separator, same heater treaters, and so what is new? So what we did is to understand what is the issue at these sites, where they are spending most of the time, what they need, because they already have automation, if you call I say the caveman automation, the way they designed is anything which comes out of the well, they have a separate heater treater for it, they have a separate separator for it, and they have the separate tank for it. So if nothing works in the tank, they know how much oil has come and how much water has come. So that was their backup arrangement, and obviously the instruments which were selected in between, they were addressing the issues, but not really in real time. So finally they go there, they have number of tanks to take care of these number of wells. So when we did a human-centered design study, I went along with another colleague of the human-centered design, took a trip with their pumpers, and to know how they do. We didn't interfere any of their work. We just wanted to say how they spend a day solving problems. And what we realize is a lot of time, their time is taken because they are taking the data. They don't really believe the data which comes out of it. Number two is those valves which are being used, they see a dual phase flow. That's why the metering is not working. So obviously, you cannot change the process, but you try to see, you implement your instrumentation in such a way that they control it better and you avoid dual phase flow so that you can meter it better. And that will give them the real-time information. And once it gives the real-time information, that information is very important to the production engineer. And now they don't have to have number of test wells or test separators or number of tanks, and it gives the CapEx and OpEx saving. So that's what we right now focus on. So.
That's great. I had a quick question for Will. I was really kind of excited about this 1 Series product, and I was wondering if it was certified too by a third party like TUV or Excedo or.
The product that Harish Tamboli is using now is the first generation, and that one has an FMEDA report. However, we just introduced a new product that has Exodus certification to SIL 2 and SIL 3 with redundancy. It's a very similar product, but when we first embarked in this product, we figured, just take a year, be done, but it kind of dragged on because we did not have any idea how much time it would take. So we started from the onset. It's not just, the certification is not just looking at the product and analyzing it. You have to start from the onset, from all of the processes that you develop, from the development, design, all the way through, and to the 30-odd thousand code that has to be checked with every piece.
Okay, as I scan the audience, it's kind of hard to see with the lights sometimes. I did have a follow-up question, Will, on the device. How is the 1 Series powered?
It can be powered in different ways. This device actually, when connected to a PLC, scavenges the power. So just imagine you have a switch, not a 4 to 20 milliamp output, but a switch. Even though it might not be connected, it actually can scavenge the power, which is a patented item. So what that means is you can allow you to replace an electromechanical switch in a safety system using this device without adding additional power.
Great. Okay. How's the audience look? You guys working on those questions for us, or we got plenty more here to share with you guys? So, okay. And I guess a follow-on when was it the 1 Series introduced? How recently was that? Not recently.
I'm not sure. The original one I think was 15 years ago. So and everyone tells me, I just started with the company, I used to be at ARC, that it was the best kept secret for 15 years. So we're trying to change that today.
Great. Okay. All right. Let's see, I had some other follow-up questions. I guess for Sudhir, I just wanted to get a general sense as to where do you see things going in the oil and gas space, from where we are today over the next perhaps 2 to 3 years? What kind of things do you guys working on?
On the shale play, what I see is, and I think Rachel showed a slide, which is distributed architecture, because right now what happens during the projects, they have to trench a lot on the well pad, and once they have these RTUs which can talk to each other on a peer way kind of thing, so you can have a RTU at the separator, and if you want you can connect all the devices on the separator to this RTU, and similarly on the well, which are maybe 500 meters away or maybe a mile away, and then you have in the facility, and they talk to each other wirelessly. So that way it becomes much less capex intensive, and at the same time I think we are also doing a lot of wireless devices to be used, because these RTUs are capable of even acting as a gateway to the RTU wireless devices. So that way, like Rachel was saying, some of the tanks you can bring as wirelessly. So my feeling is that these wells will, after 10 years or so, they will actually go to a near well and they can use some of these devices over there. So this is already going on in Canada. I have seen a lot of mobile things which they shift from one well to the other well. So the same thing which we will see here. So.
That's great. It's fascinating. Okay, we're waiting on any questions. Should I start calling on people here? What should I? No, I'm just teasing. Okay, Harish, I have a question for you. To see here. Okay. Could you estimate how much it costs to upgrade to a transmitter-based safety system in rupees or dollars? Is that possible? Just a ballpark.
Excuse me, please.
Can you estimate how much it costs to upgrade to a transmitter-based safety system in rupees or dollars? Rupees, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Just a general.
I should say it is less than electromechanical switch.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a real strong business value proposition. That's
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, we still have some time left, and we got a question right over here. Okay.
A question for Rachel. I applaud your efforts, what you're trying to do. I try to put myself in your shoes, and I'm not a process engineer. I'm Just curious, how much time do you have to spend in the field personally, trying to do your job?
Well, of course, with my experience level being new out of college in the past few years, I try to spend as much time as possible in the field, and especially now that I'm more focused on the automation aspect versus the downhole, which I've studied and worked a lot in. I like to spend a lot more time to really see how the solutions can work and figure out how we can improve them and how they can be easier integrated. I still have a big part in the facility design, so I can kind of put everything together, and being out to the field to see our existing facilities and see how my boss likes to design the facilities and what he's used to and what he designs for. Being in the field definitely improves my ability to be able to retrofit or proactively design and install these automation systems with the help of our vendors to make a great solution and one big package solution. And we hope to, and we are doing this in the Tuscaloosa Marine Shell in the Mississippi, Louisiana area. We do have kind of a copy-paste. Every well has been pretty much exactly the same, and we've been able to kind of copy-paste the facility design and SCADA automation design there based on the work that I did from the field experience and putting together the retroactively retrofitted pieces and put it all together and just have a big package installation. And we still have a long ways to go to make that better, especially where we have bigger facilities and these central distribution facilities.
Great. Question right there. Great, thank you. This might be the last one. We got 3 minutes left.
Yeah, with respect to the old instrumentation, which was normal 4 to 20 milliamp instruments, and now the smart field instruments, do panel think that we have any statistical methods, qualitative or quantitative, where it has created value in the process industry?
That's a good question.
I have a perspective from oil and gas on that, talking about the statistical or qualitative process and being able to put a value on this. It's very, very difficult because we're a very small company, and the data we were collecting and quantifying previous to this automation was very scattered and not kept well, just as Herman had mentioned before. And so you have to have a good history of that to compare with your hopeful value-adding project. So we don't have a qualitative or quantitative number to that yet, but we're working on that and trying to get these tracking systems in place to where they're not tedious, more spreadsheets and whatnot. But the immediate value that I've seen is that our executive management gets their data a whole lot faster and can make their decisions, and just the comfort of them seeing the data has increased the value a lot, especially when we first deliver a well.
Any final thoughts on that?
Let me add to this, because I worked in a lot of areas in foundation field bus and other areas where always the value was in diagnostics. And I think your question is basically boils down to that if you use smart instruments, are you able to use the diagnostics? And my answer or my observation is that it is as good as how much the end user is ready to change his work processes. Because you can get the diagnostics, you can see it, but if you don't change your work process, or you have difficulty in changing your work process because of the work environment, then you may not get the benefits. Then, like Herman said, that you can make a spreadsheet and still use it, may get 10% benefit out of it, but you can't get what you really deserve it out of it.
Okay, I'd like to thank my panel for wonderful presentations and a great discussion, and I appreciate the audience for your questions. Thank you very much. And I just have one final announcement. There's going to be an end-user owner-operator workshop held in this room from 12:30 to 3. And in partnership with CSIA, ARC is cordially inviting end users, owners, and operators to participate in this end user only workshop to exchange views on how suppliers and systems integrators should deliver automation for your success. Once again, thanks my panelists for a great job today, and you guys did a great job. And thank you for coming. Safe travels.